Hi, another quick video from me. Chapter 4.2, Pythagorean Identities. All right, here we go. Let's look at the Pythagorean identities. They are sine squared of theta plus cosine squared of theta equals 1. Now, I did write a couple variations down here for you. Make sure you put these in your notes. Take time to pause the video. I'm going to go through them rather quickly, but take time to pause the video and write them down. Sine squared of theta is equal to 1 minus cosine squared. All I did was move the cosine to the other side, so subtract. Cosine squared of theta is equal to 1 minus sine squared of theta. All right? The next one, 1 plus tangent squared of theta is equal to secant squared of theta. And now if I want to rearrange it, I can. 1 equals secant squared of theta minus tangent squared of theta. Or, if I'm solving for tangent, I can use tangent squared of theta is equal to secant squared of theta minus 1. All right, let's look at another one. We've got right here, 1 plus cotangent squared of theta is equal to cosecant squared of theta. If I want to rearrange it, I can. 1 is equal to cosecant squared theta minus cotangent squared theta. And cotangent squared theta is equal to cosecant squared theta minus 1. All right, well, how do we use these? All right. We are given, in example 1, that the sine of theta is equal to 3 over 5, and theta is less than pi over 2, but greater or equal to 0. Now, what I like to do is I like to draw this out, because it's important to understand what these restrictions or constraints are telling us. This basically tells us that we are in quadrant 1. I'm not sure what the angle is. I'm not even asked to find it. I just want to know, find the value of cosine of theta using a trig identity. So, trig identity we choose is sine of theta plus cosine of theta equals 1. Now, they want me to find cosine, so I use the version cosine squared of theta equals 1 minus sine squared theta. They gave me sine of theta as 3 over 5. So, I can simply input this right here and substitute that in. So cosine squared of theta equals 1 minus 3 over 5 squared. Square those two numbers. You get cosine squared of theta is equal to 1 minus 9 over 25. Cosine squared is equal to, common denominator here, 25 over 25 minus 9 over 25. Cosine squared then is equal to 16 over 25. I will take the principal root of both, and we get cosine of theta is equal to 4 over 5. And yes, because I'm in the positive direction, my x can then be a positive number. So normally when we take a principal root of both sides, we get plus or minus, right? Plus or minus. But in this case, I want the positive side because I'm in the positive x direction. So just that. So it is a plus 4 over 5. All right. Quadrant 1. Another example. Maybe it's in a different quadrant. Let's see what happens. So, given that sine of theta is 4 over 5, find the value of cotangent. The cotangent of theta if the angle is less than pi, but greater than pi over 2. Recall that this is pi, and here's pi over 2. So we are in quadrant 2, right? Quadrant 2. So let's see. We use the identity 1 plus cotangent of theta. 1 plus cotangent of theta, all right, is equal to cosecant squared of theta. I use, because they want cotangent, so I use cotangent squared is equal to cosecant squared minus 1. Cotangent squared, I substitute the value of the cosecant. Recall from previous video that The cosecant is the reciprocal of the sine. So I simply took the reciprocal of 4 over 5, which is 5 over 4. I plugged it in, squared it. Cotangent squared is equal to 25 over 16. Now I need a common denominator. If I'm going to subtract 1, 25 over 16 minus 16 over 16 gives me cotangent squared is equal to 9 over 16. Again, if I take the principal root of both sides, I get cotangent is plus or minus 3 over 4. Now, I'll ask you, pause the video, you go ahead and tell me, for what value do we want our x, right? Cotangent is, again, if you recall, cotangent is adjacent over opposite. So, adjacent over opposite. So now, should my 3 be a negative or what? We already know 4 is positive, but we're in quadrant 2. So, pause the video, ask yourself that question. I will now let you know. All right. Since we're in quadrant 2, the x value should be negative. Right? That's a big negative right there. Negative x. So I will go with negative 3 over 4. And there you have it. That is the cotangent that was asked of by the question. Thanks. Have a great day. Hope you enjoyed that.